But the thing about IIC was I was the only intern. I worked with other female interns on a separate project, but I was the only person at my company who was working there. And being like the 17 to 18-year-old kid I was, like, it's weird working at a very corporate environment, and having to be taken seriously and having to realize that like you are the only intern, you have to have this project done by a certain time. And it was crazy. The fact that I had this internship and they thought I was technically advanced enough to complete this project, which was awesome. So it really taught me how I can be independent and how I can work against my own deadlines and hold myself up to a certain standard. Even though like my manager was helping me, like I had to do a lot of this stuff by myself. So I was very happy that I was able to have that internship and grow from that. And then that takes me to 2017. So I just finished my freshman year of college a couple days ago. I just finished finals. At Cornell, I found myself in an environment that's way more diverse than I've ever been. I have been a part of many different clubs, so I am a director on the executive board for Women in Computing at Cornell, so I stuck with the kind of tech vibe. I am currently founding an engineering sorority, but then besides tech, I like to write for my school newspaper on the sports team. So like, I got myself very involved in Cornell, and I'm very happy to be where I am today. And so I said I would talk a little bit about my college process. So when I was applying to college, I applied for 10 colleges, and a lot of the people around me at Stuyvesant did the same because you all probably know, it's a ridiculous process. You have to write essays, you have to go to interviews, you have to involve yourself so much on something that you've invested your entire life thinking about. I started thinking about college in middle school. I had focused my entire high school career on getting good grades and like being in certain clubs and going into leadership positions. And like this was all stuff that I wanted to do, but it was all for like this higher purpose of getting into college, which like when you're like 13 and you're a freshman and you're thinking about like how you have to work in high school to go to college as like an adult, like that's kind of overwhelming. So the fact that I spent like senior year worrying about this was a lot. And so being at Stuyvesant, people around me were very ambitious. It's like a relatively competitive environment. Everybody there is extremely intelligent and everybody there is extremely talented. And we were all applying to like these higher tier institutions and everybody's super supportive. So like I would tell them like, oh yeah, I'm applying to MIT. And they'd be like, yes, Caitlin, like you totally got this. Like you're totally gonna get in. Like they knew me. They had been working with me for the past like 4 years and they knew exactly what kind of person I was. So when I applied to MIT, I applied early because it was like my top decision. I was like, this is an engineering school. I want to be an engineer. You have to go to MIT. And so I applied early action, and I remember getting my decision for that. So I had taken off the day from school to go to a doctor's appointment, and then MIT is really weird. They release their acceptances at like 6:26 p.m. So they're very precise. And so like obviously I remembered that time the entire day. I was counting down the hours. I was very stressed. Not only was I at the doctor like getting a checkup or something, but I was with my parents and I was like 3 more hours until I get my notification. And like the fact that I was like thinking about that all day was like something that I didn't want to be dwelling on. And I remember I went home, I was like watching Survivor with my family and eating dinner, and my dad looks over and he's like, oh, Caitlin, you know, it's like 6:28, like I'm pretty sure you got like your MIT decision. And I was like, ha! So like I ran to my room, I checked my phone, I was by myself, and I saw that like I had gotten deferred. And the thing about being deferred is like, yes, you're not rejected, but you're not accepted either. And it sucks not being someone's first choice, especially seeing that like there are people who applied early to MIT and got in. They were obviously very capable, very smart, but being in an environment where people were like, yes, Caitlin, like you're super techie, like you totally belong in MIT, like this is the place for you. And like hearing that your entire life and not getting in immediately was absolutely crushing. It was very hard for me. But obviously I got past it. I applied to all of my other schools. I sent in the applications day before New Year's. That was how I celebrated New Year's. I sent in my college applications and I was like, I'm done. This is it. And so March rolled around, or it was like March or April, and I was in San Francisco at a tech fellowship conference, and there were 4 other seniors on the trip, And so we were all talking about like where we had applied and like if we got an early decision or early action, and we were all talking about our decisions and stuff. And the thing was, during our trip was Ivy Day. And Ivy Day is the day where all the Ivy League institutions decided it's a great idea to release all of their acceptances at the same time, which, like, if you're me, I applied to several Ivies, and hearing about them all at the same time, when you're 3 hours away from your family, like in terms of time, like I was around people that I didn't really know. I was in the middle of I was at Facebook listening to a talk, and I had to check these acceptances, because like you can't just you can't just not check it. So I'm like by myself, I check my phone, I check Harvard, and it says like, oh, you've been rejected. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's just one out of like the 4 I applied to. I checked like Princeton, oh, you've been rejected. And I was like, that's cool, okay, like 50%, like maybe we get the next 2. I checked UPenn, it was like, LOL, you've been rejected. And I was like, great, cool. And then I checked Cornell, and like I had gotten a likely letter from there. So I was like, if I got rejected from here, I'm gonna be really sad. Unfortunately, I did get in, but it was just having that kind of pressure on me by myself, having to call my parents later and say, yeah, no, I didn't get into all of these places. I did get into Cornell, but like didn't get into all these places, and having to tell them that while all my friends were posting on Facebook like Harvard 2020 or like Yale 2020, like it was a lot. And the thing about Stuyvesant, and this is a thing that like I wasn't proud of at the time, but I was kind of disappointed that I just got into Cornell. And I know Cornell's amazing. I'm very happy to be where I am right now, but going to a high school where like 20 people got into the trinity of Ivies, so they all got into Harvard, Yale, Princeton, 10% of my grade got into Cornell. And like, that's amazing. But like, being surrounded by people like that, like, definitely was a lot for me to handle. And there was a while where I was like, I just got into Cornell. Like, that was like my high safety school. Like, I thought I was definitely gonna get in. And like, the fact that that was the only Ivy I got into it really sucked. And that was how I felt at the time. And after a while thinking about it, I realized that those other institutions, like, I would not have had a good time there. Like, they did not have the engineering programs that I wanted to be a part of. They did not have the atmosphere that I wanted to be a part of. And when I visited Cornell for admitted students days, like, I like fell in love instantly. Like, in the moment, getting those rejections sucked. Getting rejected from anything sucks. But as soon as I found out and visited Cornell and like actually like moved in and everything, like, I realized that it was like the place for me. And like, so that's one of the moments in my life that really defined how I had to face like this kind of build up to something that's amazing. Like, this is the culmination of your entire high school career, and then get immediately rejected, but have to like build myself up from that. And I'm very happy to be where I am today. I could not be more ecstatic to be at Cornell. And that's just something that like has really shaped my college career, or like the start of my college career actually. And that's just how I've just decided to like lead my life from now on. After that college process, I realized that like life is a series of decisions, and when, like, very cliched, but when one door closes, the other door opens. Like, whatever opportunity you become a part of, like, it's what you make of it. And yes, I didn't get into Princeton. Yes, I didn't get into Harvard. That's fine. I got into Cornell, and I have to make the best out of it. And I really have tried to do that with whatever decision I make when I'm up there in Ithaca. So after giving that like long spiel, my question for you is, when you were my age, so like I'm 18, very young in my career, where did you see yourself as an adult? Because obviously, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't graduated from college. I haven't gotten a full-time job yet. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with my major or anything like that. But like, when you were this young, like where did you guys think you were going to be in terms of like your career or like trajectory or something like that, if you guys want to share?
At 18?
At 18, or like college age, yeah.
Trying to finish college.
Yeah.
Too hard. Just trying to finish college.
I mean, that's kind of where I am now. I'm like I'm having like one of those existential crises where I'm like, I'm a freshman, in 3 years I'm gonna be graduating. What am I gonna do afterwards? And like, so this is really what I like to emphasize in my life, is that like, I don't know, am I gonna be in artificial intelligence? Am I going to be in hardware engineering? Am I going to be in robotics? Like, am I going to be a software engineer? Am I going to be in cloud computing? Am I going to be in cybersecurity? Like, I like tech. I know that. But like, I still have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And that's just something that I've accepted. And like, even though I've been a part of as many opportunities as I have been, like, there's still so much for me to learn. I still have a lot of time to grow. And that's something that I've accepted, and I really have wholeheartedly like followed in how I live my life. So in like my trials and tribulations as a young 18-year-old, this is what I've kind of learned so far about like how I want to live my life in the future. So a main thing is I like to create my own life timeline. So like that's what I kind of did earlier. I kind of like listed out all of my like successes and like failures. And like the thing is, I like to look back on the past and realize like, yes, I did that really cool thing. That's awesome. Now I can jumpstart into this path. Or, oh, I didn't really fail. I failed at this thing, or I made this mistake, but now I can learn from it. And even though I like to look back on the past, the thing is I don't want to get really caught up in it. So I make a lot of bucket lists. And it's not like a bucket list like, oh, I'm definitely going to go like work at Google, or like I'm going to start my own company. Those are like overarching goals that I do have, but they might change. My bucket lists are more like, I want to go skydiving, or like I want to go learn Spanish or something. Like little things that like will make my life more fulfilling and make my life more rich and aren't necessarily like career oriented, but are still things I really want to do. And then another thing is be distinct. So yes, I have a bunch of colored pencils, and they're all representing people and how we're all very different. So like in the public school system, there's a very high emphasis on like getting good grades and like being like good at generally like everything, and like being into science and also writing, and like having to focus on that for the majority of my life has like really shown me how I don't really want to like conform to like this one mold of like a holistically academic person. Like I like to embrace the fact that like I am really nerdy, but like I also am athletic, and like I also like to like just stay at home and watch Netflix when other people want to go outside. So like it's good to embrace who you are and what individual characteristics make you distinct from everybody else, because you don't want to just like fit into this mold of like getting a job, settling down with a family. Like you don't want to go through all these specific stages. You want to make sure that your life is as rich as possible, and that you do things that like really represent who you are. And then very inspirational photo, but like focus on yourself. So this is something that I really had to learn in college, because when I was in high school, my parents would like come up to me at like midnight, be like, Caitlin, you should probably go to sleep now, or would make sure that like I went outside every day and like walked around, or was just like generally not like stuck in like an academic world or something like that. They made sure that like I kind of took care of myself. And living on my own in the middle of upstate New York, like I've learned that like I do like spending time with friends, but I also need to spend time writing in my journal, or like meditating, or just like staring at a wall by myself and not having to deal with people, because like that's just how I find myself to work on being mentally and emotionally strong. And so you have to take time to just work on your own self-care. Like it's great to like focus on studying, and it's great to like hang out with your friends, but like ultimately like you have to deal with yourself at the end of the day. So that's something I really always try to do, is like give myself like 10 minutes a day to just like sit down and just like relax and just like be in my own mind for a little bit. And then, okay, so I'm very into organizing. So this is actually like a real life screenshot of my Google Calendar from a couple weeks ago. I am very into scheduling things, and that's just because I have a lot of things on my plate. Like I have academics, I have extracurriculars, I want to hang out with friends, I want to go to like the karaoke house by my school. Like, so there's a lot of things that I want to do, and I want to make sure I have enough time to do them. So I have a process, and this works specifically for me. I don't know about other people, but I like to segment my time to make sure that like, yes, I am in this lecture from like 10:30 to 11:30, but then from like 12:30 to 1:30, I have time to like eat and like maybe do homework or like watch Netflix or something. So I like to make sure that my world is organized to make sure that I have time every day to do the things that I actually want to accomplish. Do I want to do homework? Do I want to work out? Do I want to watch a new episode of The Office or something? Like I try to make sure that I have parts of my day segmented to actually accomplish those things that I want to do every day. So then seeking out a passion, very vague, but it's just something where you want to figure out what exactly do you want to do. And that doesn't necessarily have to be career oriented. It doesn't have to be like academically oriented. It could be anything from like, I used a lot of transitions in this presentation, but it could be anything from like painting to like doing science experiments to like writing a book or like being politically active or something like that. It's just something that you try to do like every day or every week or every month, however often, for yourself and not necessarily for your career or like increasing your productivity or something like that, just to like make yourself happy. So like I personally love writing, so like I try to take as much time out of my week as possible to like sit down and write. And I'm not probably gonna write a book in like the next 10 years, but like I just like to do it. And so like it's good for me to take out time for me to pursue this passion and not let my other interests overwhelm it. And then abandon the negative. So I obviously have gone through like failures. I've made mistakes. I'm that person who like will go back and listen to a conversation and realize that I said something stupid and like really like nag myself about it. And the thing is, like, I've started to learn that once something happens, like, it's done. Like, you can do damage control, you can talk to people afterwards, you can fix it, but like you can't really like nag yourself about one mistake that you made. You have to really just like acknowledge that you did it, grow from it, try not to do it again, but like wallowing in that like self-pity is not gonna be productive. Because at the end of the day, like if you have a negative view of like how you live your life, like that's just gonna affect how productive you are, how happy you are when you're around other people, and it's just not gonna be fun. So the trick is to like be realistic, but try to stay as positive as you can and realize that like whatever mistakes you do make, and they're gonna be a lot, like that's gonna help you be a better person in every facet of your life. And then, so it's good to like question yourself. So I am 18, obviously I'm not going to be the smartest person in any room that I walk into. I have a lot of things to learn, and yes, I am confident in the fact that like I'm a developer, I'm a relatively good like communicator, like I'm good at like softball, like things like that. Like I'm good at things, but you also have to realize that there's things that you don't know that other people are experts in their fields at. And whenever you walk into a room, you have to realize that you're not going to be the smartest person there. So like what I try to do is the people around myself, I try to make them as diverse as possible so that I can learn as much as possible from like my friends and like teachers and other people that I associate myself with. And it's just good to realize that like whoever you spend your time with, you're learning something from them, and that being around people who are diverse and who have different interests than you are maybe smarter than you at like science or like English or like more athletic than you, like you end up being able to develop in your own way. And that's something that I try to do, and that's something that I've been successful at college by being around a bunch of different people and spending my time with people who aren't exactly like me and are not invested in the same things that I am. And then it's good to be ready for dead ends. So this is kind of along the same like abandon the negative kind of thing, where I have the habit of starting a project, doing it for like a month or something, and then like reaching some point, not knowing how to get around it, and just like stopping. And like that's fine. Like it's fine to not finish things. Like obviously you want to complete as many of like the tasks that you want to do. You obviously want to follow on your passion projects and stuff like that. But like there's some points where you have to realize that like sometimes things just can't get done, and you just have to move past it and accept that. And it's kind of like abandon the negative. Like bad things are going to happen, mistakes are going to happen, obstacles are going to pop up, but as long as you acknowledge like where they came from and acknowledge that they exist, you can get around them. And maybe the fact that you can't finish that like paper that you were really excited about finishing means that you have more time to work on something else. And so like one project ends, like then another project begins, and that's something that I like to keep in mind whenever I'm working on something. And so this is the end of my presentation, so I'd like to just end it with the words inspire each other, because I am very inspired by all the women who have been speaking and will speak here today. Like I'm probably one of the younger people here, and I'm really honored to be able to speak on the same stages as some of these really impressive women. And like the fact, and this is something that I said before, the fact that all these women are so accomplished and experienced in their own different fields, like, is very inspirational, and it shows that there's so much more I can learn, there's so many more people that I can connect with and grow as a person. And so something that I try to do every day is, like, again, learn from the people around me, but then also try to inspire the people around me, whether it's something as simple as like helping my little brother with his homework, or like working on a hackathon or something like that. So something that I hope you keep in mind is that you can be inspired by the people around you no matter what, but also try to inspire the people who you influence yourself. And so with that, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to me, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Yeah. Thank you. I also don't think this microphone was on the whole time, and I don't know why. Oh, it's for the camera. Oh. Hi. So are there any questions or anything like that? Yes.
What's your favorite class?
So I'm an electrical and computer, and I didn't say that, did I? I'm an electrical and computer engineering major at Cornell, so it's kind of a combination of like software engineering and hardware engineering, so like wiring and circuit boards and stuff like that. So I'm taking this introduction to electrical and computer engineering class called Computing Tech and Smartphones. So it's really learning like the basics of like how circuits work and everything like that. And because I've never worked with hardware before in my entire life, and obviously that's something I want to learn more about, like that class has really taught me a little bit about like what it means to be in ECE, and it's really jump-started like my interest in like other ECE classes. So I'd say that's probably my favorite class. Also, the professor is a total sweetheart, and I love him so much. And I'm going to have him next semester. But yeah. Awesome. I don't know, where am I on time? Is it like time for everybody to switch? It is? Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening to me, guys. Thank you.